billions of dollars. And sorry, they're just not doing that. That's why Vince McMahon didn't stop WWE, even though he's botched a lot of cases and fined or fired some people, releasing people during the pandemic, didn't want to pay people. Like, it's wild. I'm lucky enough that I'm still employed, but thankfully my skill set, I can work anywhere. I can take my skills anywhere, but not everybody has that luxury because they weren't, banking or shooting the dice on rolling snake eyes this whole year. Like, most people don't wake up planning, okay, it's going to be an abject failure of a year. You fucking idiot's going to buy up all the toilet paper. I'm still mad about that. Like, there's a shit ton of ice cream. There's a shit ton of ice cream in the store, bro, and, like, no toilet paper. Just think about that. Like, so there's no toilet paper in the store, and y'all still making ice cream and cheese and shit. Like, why? What's the point? But shout out to plumbers, because I know they're making a grip. And also, we should, honestly, and I might do this with my next check, we should just rent out an AMC theater for $100 and just do a podcast in that bitch. Wow. And invite people for the 200th episode. That'd be cool. Because, it's only $100 to rent that shit. And as someone who worked in a movie theater, this is my fucking universal karma coming back. I can buy out a movie theater.
Wait, you can really buy out a movie theater?
For $99, bro. We could do that shit. This is episode 198. Episode 200 is, we can literally hit up AMC and be like, hey, we're out the biggest theater you got. And we're going to social distance people. And we're probably going to smoke that shit.
Wait, can you not put a movie on? Or you have to have a movie on?
Get somebody to get a camera and they'll record us.
Wait a minute, Kenny, but
play the movie with no sound. I don't give a fuck.
And the theater industry suffering. So, you might wind up helping the theater industry, but at the same time,
I just want to rent out a movie theater for $100 because that's some dope shit, and we're never gonna get that chance again.
I could see you just doing that for
the fuck of it.
I could see you just going in there and watching Black Panther with just yourself in the middle theater with two things of popcorn.
Why would I have two things of popcorn? That was racist. Why would you pick Black Panther?
All
the movies that I love, and you pick Black Panther.
That movie's timeless. You love that movie.
Timeless. You love that movie, Kenny. What
do you want me to say? Boys in the Hood? Is that any less racist?
Actually, no. That's
two movies way less racist.
That's less racist. Because Ricky was
movies.
terrible.
Bro, you reference Killmonger every week. Holy shit!
It's not my fault that Kenny Killmonger is my moniker. By the way, should I change my Twitter?
Should I cite Queen and Slim, the movie you fucking hate?
No, but actually, I would be okay with renting out the theater and getting people in there.
Breakfast Club.
I fucking love the Breakfast Club. I'll fucking fight you right now. I love the Breakfast Club. I love that fucking movie, but there was no black people in it, which was weird.
I remember being in such a fucking argument with someone where it was like I put on Breakfast Club for them, and they were like, "Oh, this is boring. It's all character development." I'm like, "It's the fucking movie.
That's cinema, you dumb bitch."
Hi, hello.
Yeah. Oh yeah, literally.
I'm that guy.
And it was
I'm the guy that can't watch a movie pre-HD. I'm sorry. I'm
what?
Really?
Yeah, I can. I'm sorry.
I hate movies.
Wow.
Okay.
Izzy, we gotta find out.
That's the Generation Z over there. I didn't go that far.
Like, how you hate movies but have Netflix?
I still like some plot. Okay.
I purposely fell asleep in the Avengers.
What? Hold on.
All right, well, I can understand that because I'm
Which Avengers, though?
I'm a little bit older. I grew up reading comic books and stuff, so I have a little bit more of a sentimental value with all these Marvel and DC movies being made, and then when they fuck up, I'm really pissed off. But like,
Home hurt me.
But some of these people, like some younger crowds now, they don't. These comic books are just what's on the big screen right now, so there's not as much of a sentimental attachment to some
which is weird because they're actually like apparently like football cards are making a comeback.
Really?
Yeah, they're making a huge comeback. But like when I think about it, go ahead.
Wait a minute. I was just going to make the point about you mentioned about football and this, the need to make money. That's also the same issue with the film industry, and
they're finding ways to do it.
Different studios, right? I mean, all the studios are finding ways of still making money, and also
like having trolls for $20 for 6 fucking months.
Oh, fam.
Anyways, go ahead.
See, he has some hatred in his heart.
Wow.
That Troll soundtrack was kind of cool, though.
At this rate,
The King of Staten Island was actually a good movie. It was worth $6.99.
It was about his life.
That was a good movie.
Ooh.
It was about Pete Davidson's life, and Bill Burr was his stepdad.
It's like what he thought his life would be if he didn't get into comedy.
No, like his dad died in 9/11 in the towers, and like he was trying to figure his shit out and become a good person. But in this case, he like becomes a firefighter like his dad. It's actually a pretty good premise, Judd Apatow, but I just didn't feel like watching it because I'm like, whatever.
It's actually a pretty good movie. I honestly recommend it. It's really, really good. It's funny too. I mean, the movie starts with a Kid Cudi song. Usually, if a movie starts with a Kid Cudi song, I'm in.
Kid Cudi's just fucking great. He's a staple of humanity.
His last album wasn't so hot. What was it, Speeding Bullet to Heaven or whatever the fuck?
Oh, we don't count that.
Oh.
We only count like the first three. We only count those two albums.
I'm not the biggest Anthony Fantano fan, but I will say that his decimation of that album was incredible.
I mean,
I guess to the point.
I make satellite flight jokes all the time. Like there was, we literally in the newsroom together, me, Pete, Vince, Andrew, a couple other people were literally coming up with fucking sports headlines only using Kid Cudi titles and albums. That shit was fun because it was petty. Like it got dark.
Pete, weren't you doing something like that when I was like on the staff?
808s and fast breaks.
Before
something like that.
Vince and Kenny joined?
Yeah, something like that.
Because I remember you being like, I'm going to take this song and make it a headline, and I just, like, giggle.
And
Mr. Still Your Goal.
Wow. That was fire, though. I read that story. That was a fire fucking headline. He probably got a lot of ass for that, and I think he still owes you.
But, yeah, she ended up being, like, the number one goalkeeper in CSUN history. I was like, oh.
There you go.
I didn't know what I was doing.
But that's like the dope part about it.
Mm-hmm. Well, I guess the kind of idea I was getting at is, is it just simply because it's more accessible for people given that they're already at home? There's already money to be made by people being at home rather than, the myriad of possibilities if you put a movie on streaming and it doesn't make as much if you released it theatrically. Do you think that's why football is doing, and just sports in general, are doing relatively better than the film industry? Or
well, the
think?
NBA was down a lot.
Yeah,
and part of that was they had day games. They had games all day long, which I actually thought was dope because I could just have it on the background all day long. But apparently not a lot of other people did because they were down like 40%. In a lot of areas. Now to football is a little bit, more conservative. It's a little bit, more, I don't know what to say. It embodies more American ideology. It's essentially a game of real estate and resources, really. But yeah, I don't know. I just think if the games weren't going on here, they would be going on somewhere else. Because, to bring up Dana White, but he's pretty much was like, I don't foresee myself having a UFC event in the U.S. except for at my new facility or at the facility in Abu Dhabi. Because the facility in Abu Dhabi is so far and beyond anything else here. And I don't have to go through all the hoops and shit that I have to go through here, especially with COVID. So, to Kenny's point, it's a money-making thing, yes, and there's a cultural element to it, so it just depends on which side of the spectrum you fall on.
And people, the athletes, like, this is their life mission.
Yeah.
Like, it's easy for us to say, well, fuck it, I'll just go get a job, a little side job, and then write on the side. Okay, no one's taking away your ability to write. Okay, I'm a first-round pick, and I'm scheduled to be a top pick, probably.
I'm supposed to just drive Lyft for the next 2 years?
I'm supposed to put a rich homie Quan in this bitch? Like
Roscoe Dash?
Oh, yeah, Roscoe Dash. I'm supposed to pull a Roscoe Dash in this bitch? I'm supposed to just go work at a Waffle House while, like, I'm a fucking athletic titan who's lived his whole life for this one thing and you want me to give it up? That's not fair. And also, like, people have the right to go out on their own sword. That's like a fundamental thing. And in this country, yeah, like people have a right to go out the way they want to go out. And if enough people get together and say, yeah, we're okay with this, it's going to happen no matter what you want. You only really need like 10 to 20% of a population to decide some shit ain't going to happen. And the rest of the society will eventually just follow suit over time because it's a consistent amount, even if it's a small amount. Now, the NFL is a $1 billion, trillion thing. Like, there's so much market. There's so much money that has already, like, been counted, and, like, there's too much money on the line for us not to do this. Like, it's like if you got a black MX card and you charge, like, $1 million.
Well, the other
shit
thing
on
is,
it has to come due. The bill will come due no matter what we say.
well, when we talk about football losing money, you're talking about the in-person part of it, but there's so much
Marketing
more
dollars.
even on the back end. You know,
Ad
hundreds of $1 million
dollars.
are exchanged between ad
Right.
markets, you know, whether you're talking about the ESPNs, the Fox, the CBSs, and also the major, you know, players, the Procter and Gamble's, you know, everybody advertises on those platforms. So there's a lot of money there, yes. And the other industry I would say that I've felt the most pain through the pandemic is music. I feel like a lot of artists, like especially at the start of the pandemic, I feel like a lot of stuff got pushed back in hopes of like, oh, okay, you know, I'm going to push this back and coincide it with my tour announcement. But, you know, as things got grimmer and later in the year, it was like, oh, well, yeah, I'm not having a tour this year. So I got to drop this album in Q3 because, well, we need to make some money before the end of the year. And so now we're starting to see more music come out. But, like, in March, May, April, like, I felt like nothing was coming out.
And Rosenberg got fired from Def Jam, so think about all those artists that got screwed and left on the vine. So a lot of people just are having to figure it out on their own. Like humans need a reason to live. They'll
That's true.
find one. Sports is that great equalizer that we can all kind of rally around, whether you played soccer or baseball or hockey, whatever. By the way, we totally ignored the Stanley Cup this year. I think the Dallas team won.
Dallas
The
won.
Dallas Stars.
Well, the Kings and the Ducks were both out, and now between the Kings, the Ducks, and the Sharks,
The Sharks
all
choke
those,
every
all
year.
those teams have only missed the playoffs once in like 20 years. This is like the first year that all three of those teams missed the playoffs.
Yeah, like the San Jose
But
Sharks.
shout out to the Vegas Knights. I'm also a
Well, and
Knights
I
fan.
think my
That's fair.
kind of my last question to that point is, you know, I feel that one of the other things that concerns a lot of people with, you know, sports going on in the midst of COVID is the idea of privilege. And obviously that's something that I've heard being said around. It was in, I believe, I'm going to butcher his last name, Bill Plaschke from the LA
Said it right.
Times wrote, I think that,
About
wrote a
Justin
column
Turner?
about Justin Turner
Yep.
and the whole situation with the Dodgers and the World Series and his whole COVID situation. You know, it's hard to talk about it without getting too animated, but I guess, you know, do you think that there is a sense of privilege that, oh, well, you know, it's sports, we can do it, we know we can do it, we can put our players at risk even though we do pods or we isolate them or whatever, but, you know, when depending on who you are and depending on how much money you're making, you could say, you know, isolation be damned, I'm going to go out in the field with my colleagues. You know, do you think that hurts the reputation of any of these teams where they have a player that does something like that? Or do you think it's, you know, it's just one fuck up and it's not indicative of the entire,
Well,
you know,
let me ask you this. You know, when you're talking about privilege, the one privilege that, you know, athletes have never really had until super duper recently, and I'm talking about probably the pandemic, is part of the catalyst of that is, you know, athletes speaking up and being more political and sharing their political reviews. Like, so, you know, I think Like, what do you